Congratulations for finding the most comprehensive presentation on the Colorado State legal name change petition process. I'd like to welcome all my Coloradans out there, and especially all my fellow Colorado Springs citizens. And when I started making this explainer video, I thought it was going to be a quick 2-minute explanation of the name change process to help all Coloradans and serve as a resource to my fingerprinting customers who are seeking a legal name change. At Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, I've experienced the myriad of questions and misconceptions people have on not only the process and purpose of fingerprinting as it relates to a legal name change, but all the administrative forms and procedures required outside of the fingerprinting process in order to successfully file a petition for legal name change. These videos will serve as a complete walkthrough to everything needed for changing your name in Colorado. Now, as I mentioned when I started this undertaking, I thought I'd talk to some folks who went through the process, do a little research on my own, and knock out an explainer video over the weekend. But what I came to find out is that despite my 7 years of fingerprinting experience, and despite this being one of the most frequent reasons people come to us for fingerprinting, changing your name is a very complicated process with loads of conflicting information out on the internet. In my research, I found videos and form filing instructions issued by the judicial system and by lawyers that are based on out-of-date information or anecdotal experiences that aren't necessarily true for everyone, which, if you make that same mistake, can be quite costly. In fact, to have a lawyer walk you through this process, as of February 2022, the cost is $805 plus a $125 consultation fee, which does not include the cost of submitting your application nor paying for your fingerprints to be taken. I'll just let that sink in. That $930 fee does not include the price for fingerprinting, nor includes the payments to the courts or other agencies. The fees to the courts can be as high as $238, and the cost of fingerprinting could be as high as $86.50 to a fingerprint provider, which adds up pretty quickly. But through this free video, which should not be taken as legal advice, I'm going to show you how to ensure you only pay $88 to the court by ensuring you file your petition in the correct courthouse and get all your fingerprinting done for as low as $66.50 through a few fingerprinting hacks that you can take advantage of. So, added up, that's $154.50 versus the $1,254.50 you could have to pay. That's an $1,100 difference. So even if you're just considering changing your name, this video is well worth watching and sharing. Speaking of watching and sharing, if you like the idea of saving $1,100, then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can easily refer back to this video when you have a question or get stuck along the way on your Colorado State legal name change journey. In this video by Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, we will guide you through all the steps needed to successfully submit a petition for legal name change of an adult non-felon. At Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, we're not just going to literally hold your hand at your fingerprinting appointment, but with this video, we're also going to figuratively hold your hand through the complicated process of preparing your petition for a legal name change of an adult non-felon applicant. And if you've got some black spots on your criminal record, or simply worried that you might, or if you're filing the petition on behalf of a minor child or an adult over the age of 70, then this presentation will still get you roughly 90% of the way through the process. So, let's begin. So, why are fingerprints even necessary for a Colorado State legal name change? Well, it's a biometric identification procedure that is gaining popularity around the world to certify people's identities. And by certifying a person's identity, the fingerprinting-based background check process facilitates processing administrative and legal procedures remotely, which, in most cases, avoids the need to physically appear in a courthouse to formally petition your change of name. By validating a person's identity who's petitioning for a legal name change, which is considered a legal civil case, the courts can prevent bad actors from victimizing innocent individuals with fraudulent requests and prevent people who, in the name of public safety, should not be allowed to change their name or gain a legal alias to avoid legal and general public notice. This is a good point to say that this entire video and any information in the description section of this video or on the Colorado Springs Fingerprinting website is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice or enter myself or Colorado Springs Fingerprinting into any legal consulting relationship with you, the viewer, or anyone you're assisting. In this video, we're going to go over the various agencies involved in the process for a legal name change, the fingerprinting process itself, and sign up itself, in which I'm going to drop some golden knowledge nuggets on y'all and show you some of the best practices and routes to take in terms of both speed and cost consciousness. We're going to go over what forms to fill out for your petition and how to fill them out. And finally, how to submit your packet and the supporting forms which must be included with your petition for legal name change or else it will be rejected. Along the way, I'll highlight some common misconceptions and pitfalls in this process to help you ensure everything goes through as quickly and completely as possible. Big picture-wise, this seems like a pretty quick and straightforward process. First, you go get some fingerprints done, you fill out some forms, submit the paperwork, then get your final decree. But every step has a multitude of sub-steps that can trip you up. For fingerprinting, you're going to need 2 different background checks that can be routed 3 different ways. The way in which you decide to get fingerprinted will determine the price, speed, and specifically the timing that you'll get each background check back, which is important because your background checks will expire in the eyes of the court for the purpose of a legal name change once one of your background checks become older than 90 days. There will be 4 basic forms plus a not-so-instructional instruction form provided by the Colorado courts that you will need. You'll have your actual petition for name change, an order for publication, a public notice of petition for name change, and a final decree. One of these forms you need to get notarized. 2 of these may not apply to you, but you still need to partially fill them out, along with partially filling out your final decree as well. Submitting everything and ensuring that your fingerprint-based background check return letters are included as exhibits in your petition has section which can trip you up as well. Where you submit your paperwork is important because district court will cost $238 versus county court only costing $88. There are also steps involved in the public notice of your legal name change which require that once you are tentatively approved for a legal name change, you must publish your intent to change your name in a local newspaper. And then you take that proof back to the court that you have done so before they will issue you your final decree for legal name change. And your final decree is a powerful document that you'll use to update your identifications and different name change data points, such as your driver's licenses with the DMV, your passport with the State Department, and Social Security card, your bank accounts, and if you own property, you'll have to file your final decree with the county clerk's office as well. Now, this is a fairly robust overview, and I recommend you returning to this part of the presentation and review where you're at in the process. You can take a screenshot of this page and use it as a checklist. Additionally, anywhere you see a little Colorado Springs Fingerprinting logo is a step that you can get done with a service provided by Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, such as making certified copies of your final decree and taking new passport photos needed for updating your passport along with your new name. First up in our checklist are agencies. The first agency I'll discuss is the Colorado Judicial Branch and the Colorado Court. A judge or magistrate in the Colorado Judicial Branch is who is going to be signing off and issuing you your final decree for legal name change. When you go to the Colorado Judicial Branch Court's website, you'll navigate to the self-help section and name change section, and we're going to focus on the process for adult non-felon legal name changes. Under the adult name change section, we're going to start with step 1 of this guide. Step 1 is to read the instructions of the Justice Department Form, JDF 432, which we'll go over. Step 2 in our guide is that I'd like to highlight the state court will need 2 different background checks. The first background check needed is the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, or CBI, Criminal History Report, and the second being the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, criminal background check. And yes, there will be fees to these agencies outside of the fees you're going to have to pay to the court. Step 3 is pointing out where you can find Judicial Department Form JDF 432 further down the page, which our instructions will look into as we get into the form section of this video. Another agency is the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, and if you go directly to the CBI website or click on the link previously shown on the Colorado State Court's website, you're going to arrive to an unupdated page that looks like this. But if you dig into this site, you'll finally find some good links that will eventually tell you that in order to get a CBI background check, you're going to need to go to a third-party digital fingerprint vendor such as coloradofingerprinting.com. On the left-hand side is a screenshot from the top of the CBI webpage and leads off with the vendor information for the CABS vendors who are allowed to capture and channel your fingerprints digitally to the CBI. Then the first instructions the CBI gives you is to look up the reason for your background check request, which will correspond to an OCA or CBI Unique code for legal name change. This will be found lower down on the page among the 75 other different reasons and CBI Unique codes on their website. On the right-hand side is a screenshot of what it looks like once you finally find your reason for fingerprinting and the information contained therein. This section again highlights the fingerprinting vendors approved to send fingerprints to CBI CABs and reminds you what the Colorado Court's website says, stressing that you'll need 2 background checks. One from the CBI through a CABS vendor, and the second from the FBI before you go to court. Now, because you're already required to go through the biometric identification procedure of fingerprinting, it's unlikely that you'll actually have to appear in court, and a more helpful instruction would probably be to tell you to get your fingerprint-based background checks completed, and then include them as exhibits when you submit your petition to the court. Then, unless you've skipped ahead on the court's website, this is the first point that you'll read, that your background check results, known as return letters, are only good for 90 days, effectively expiring in the eyes of the court for the purpose of petitioning for a legal name change. So, once you get your background checks results back to you, submit your petition right away. Now, the actual number you need is at the bottom. The correct OCA or originating case agency number is also used for the CBI Unique code on coloradofingerprinting.com. Several agencies also unfortunately use this acronym interchangeably, much to the confusion of those uninitiated in the fingerprinting and background check industry. In other places, this is sometimes listed as an ORI number, which stands for Originating Agency Identification Number. These are all codes that are put onto the FD 258 fingerprinting cards and or the accompanying application request used to properly route your fingerprints both within the agency performing the background check, such as the FBI or CBI, and for routing the results of the background check back to the employer, agency, or individual requesting the fingerprint-based background check. In the case of a Colorado state background check in support of a legal name change for an adult non-felon, the code is CONC for Colorado name change. J as in Juliet 3975, LNCA for legal name change adult. Regardless as to what that stands for, go ahead and write down that entire code along with CRS 13 as in 13 -15 as in 15 -101, which is the Colorado revised statute specific to the state legal name change, which, if you care to look up on the state legislative website, you'll see aligns with the LNCA in the CBI Unique code. We'll revisit the Colorado revised statute pertaining to legal name changes again later in this presentation when we go over exemptions to the requirement to publish your name change in a local newspaper. So now that we have our OCA/CBI Unique code, we are ready to go to the coloradofingerprinting.com website for your CBI background check. They are the only ones with whom you can actually schedule an appointment to get your fingerprints captured on a CBI CABS fingerprinting live scan device in order to channel those prints to the state CBI to get your CBI fingerprint-based background check completed. On their site, they've got several quick link tiles right on their homepage for their most requested services. Scroll down and bam, there it is. Colorado State, legal name change. Click Learn More, and then you'll be given a brief overview of the process. You'll see that the cost is going to be $31.50. You complete the sign-up process on the Colorado Fingerprinting website, and then you go to one of their partnered venues, such as Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, to get your fingerprints captured. And then once your fingerprints and application is accepted by the CBI, you'll get an email saying so, at which point you may sign up with Colorado Fingerprinting for an add-on service in order to get those same successful fingerprints forwarded to the FBI in order to knock out your FBI background check through Colorado Fingerprinting as well. The add-on cost for the FBI background check through Colorado Fingerprinting is $55. But stay tuned, as I'm going to show you how to get your FBI background check through one of Colorado Springs Fingerprinting Services as an alternate to the additional $55 you could have to pay to Colorado Fingerprinting for having them handle your FBI background check as well. After you register, you'll either create a new account or sign into an account you've previously created. Step 1 on Colorado Fingerprinting's website, which is step 16 on this video's internal fingerprinting checklist, you're going to select your desired location. Here, we entered 80918 for Colorado Springs, where we show up as one of Colorado Fingerprinting's partnered venues for channeling fingerprints digitally to the CBI. In the Colorado Front Range area, Colorado Springs Fingerprinting is the largest provider of Colorado fingerprinting appointments. We have twice as many Colorado fingerprinting machines as anyone else, and because of this and our multiple swiftly trained technicians on site, we have more available appointments than anyone else to fit your schedule. In step 2 on the Colorado Fingerprinting website, step 17 on this checklist, is after selecting your venue location, you'll select a date and time that works best for you. If you choose Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, we have enough staff and redundancies that if you're late or miss your appointment, we are flexible enough to still squeeze you in. Just come in as soon as you can. We can pull you up your data, which will pre-populate all your required fields that you filled out here on the website. We'll confirm your identity and associate you and your fingerprints with your Colorado Fingerprinting order, right on one of our machines here at Colorado Springs Fingerprinting. Step 18. So after you've selected a location for your appointment, you need to tell Colorado Fingerprinting what you want. And what you want for a legal name change is a CBI CABS fingerprinting, so mark the appropriate checkbox here. Your CBI code may be pre-populated here with the OC number from the CBI website. If you clicked on the legal name change tile to start the registration and sign-up process, this should be done automatically. But if not, it's a good thing we wrote it down earlier, and you'll need to type in the 3975 LNCA for legal name change for an adult. For step 19, your information should populate up top, and in step 20, you'll need to enter your full social security number here. Now, if you've gotten background checks before, you may recall that the FBI makes filling in your full social or last four optional. However, Colorado State CBI says they need it, and therefore Colorado Fingerprinting, as their approved third-party vendor, requires it on these digitally channeled application forms. Step 21. For the purpose of CBI fingerprinting in support of a legal name change, your new name will be entered as an alias here. If you entered your new name as an alias during your registration process, then it'll be pre-populated. If not, this is where you'll have to enter it. And the good thing about this form wizard is that because you've entered your CBI Unique ID, 3975 LNCA, the form knows that you are getting a legal name change, and it won't let you proceed to the next step until you've added your intended new legal name change to this form as an alias. So if you were given the birth name of Tater Salad, and you want to change it to Tater Tot, make sure you put your current name in the first section above your social security number, and your requested name change, spelled exactly as you want it, in the alias fields below your social security number. Don't misspell your new name, as it needs to match what you send to the courts on your petition exactly. Lastly, at the bottom there are some mailing options to get a physical copy of your background check results. But since I'm here to save you money, I'll let you know that this is an unnecessary add-on service for the purpose of a legal name change, because printing out of the return letter contained in the email that you'll receive from the CBI, which will contain your background check return letter, and then attaching it as an exhibit will meet the court's requirements. Step 23. Confirm your information. Having entered the correct CBI Unique code, your reason for fingerprinting will say Legal Name Change 13-15101, which is the governing state legislation outlining the legal name change procedure. If it says something different, hit the previous button and check your CBI Unique code. Don't worry about the account city. That's not supposed to be your address or the venue you're getting fingerprinted. Rather, it's the city that the CBI headquarters is located in, which is Lakewood, Colorado. Finally, the total fee should be $31.50 for a CBI fingerprinting service. If it says something different, you've probably signed up for an add-on service, or maybe signed up for an entirely incorrect service to begin with, so double check that. At the bottom, it mentions your mailing address, or that of your employer/agency who wants the results of your background check. But since you entered the CBI Unique code for a legal name change, 3975 LNCA, the system knows that there is no agency or employer and that you're the interested party in receiving the results. You'll see your appointment details, it'll show the name of the location partnered with Colorado Fingerprinting that you chose, and I hope that yours will show the address of Colorado Springs Fingerprinting. You'll see our address, your appointment time, and then the description should repeat the name of the location that you chose. This is your last chance to change your appointment. So if you haven't chosen Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, home of the most amount of digital live scan and ink fingerprinting terminals, which also has the most amount of appointment slots and dedicated fingerprinting venue with multiple in-house services, such as shipping, mailing, notary, certified copy creation, and passport photos, now's your last chance to do so. In step 24, you have to acknowledge the Privacy Act statement on the bottom. But unlike an iTunes agreement, take notice of the acceptable forms of IDs that you can use to present at the time of your appointment. Valid state IDs, driver's licenses, CDLs, passports, military IDs, permanent resident card, enhanced travel card, they are all acceptable forms of identification as long as they are current and not expired. If you've stopped the appointment process at any point or were accidentally timed out, you don't need to start completely over. When you log back on to the Complio account through Colorado Fingerprinting, you'll see an incomplete order in your order history. When you click on the Complete Order link, you'll pick up right where you left off. And if you don't see this option when you log on, click the Place Order icon hiding in the top right corner. When you complete your order, you'll get an email confirmation with your order number, and that order number you can take with you to the actual partnered venue that you signed up for. Here at Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, having that appointment order number ready as a printout or on your phone at least helps us identify you among our other appointments for the day. And at Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, if you miss your appointment, just come in as soon as practicable and we'll look you up and retrieve your information and get you taken care of. We allocate 15 minutes for each appointment. However, our technicians are so fast and most appointments take 5 to 10 minutes or less. Couple that with the fact that we have more live scan devices than any other location in Colorado State and multiple techs on site, we can squeeze you in and get you taken care of. It's just what we do. And that completes the steps you need to sign up for a CBI state fingerprint-based background check, which is a required process in both routes of fingerprinting, whether you're going for the $86.50 route through Colorado Fingerprinting Pure, or you're interested in the $66.50 process in Route 2 that we'll go over now. We just went over the process to sign up for a CBI fingerprinting service through coloradofingerprinting.com. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to show you a fingerprinting hack to save some money on the FBI fingerprinting process, which is also required for a legal name change. Remember, you need both CBI and FBI fingerprint-based background checks. But before I explain this hack, let's go over the more standard process for getting your FBI fingerprint-based background check through the same CBI vendor. And we're going to call this Route 1. In Route 1, you're going to go to coloradofingerprinting.com and order your CBI background check. using the Colorado name change fingerprinting smart tile on their homepage. You're going to pay $31.50. You'll then register, fill in the information, confirm your CBI Unique code 3975 LNCA, and then choose Colorado Springs Fingerprinting for your appointment site. You'll go to Colorado Springs Fingerprinting at 6545 North Academy Boulevard in order to get your fingerprints digitally channeled to Colorado Fingerprinting, who will send them to the CBI in order to get your CBI fingerprint-based background check results. You'll wait for notification that the CBI has accepted your fingerprints and are doing your background check, and then you'll get an email from Colorado Fingerprinting for an add-on FBI background check service. Now, Colorado Fingerprinting is going to use the same fingerprinting file that was accepted by the CBI in order to send it to the FBI in order to get your FBI fingerprint-based background check results. That's $55 add-on service, and then you'll wait for the email results from both the CBI and FBI. And after you get both those results, you'll add the FBI and CBI fingerprint-based background checks to your petition to file a legal name change adult as Exhibits A and B. All in, $86.50. Now for the fingerprinting hack, which we're going to call Route 2, we're actually going to start the FBI fingerprint-based background check first in order to get the ball rolling. Because using this hack is actually going to take a little bit longer, and so you want to start the longest process first. And in order to get your FBI fingerprint-based background check, you have to order it through the FBI website, their Federal Bureau of Investigation Electronic Department Order, EDO, to their Criminal Justice Information System, EDO CJIS. So first step you're going to do is to pay for an EDO CJIS fingerprint-based background check at this website. You'll then print out your receipt for your order or email it to fingerprinting@mailcentercos.com and we'll print it out for you. After you make your order, you'll go to coloradospringsfingerprinting.com and you'll order an FD 258 fingerprinting card service for $15. You'll use coupon code 3975 LNCA in order to get $5 off. Now in the cheaper fingerprinting Route number 2 option, aka our fingerprinting hack, which is used for obtaining your FBI background check, you first need to request your FBI background check on your own before you send them an Ink Fingerprinting card created at Colorado Springs Fingerprinting. The FBI has an Electronic Department Order Criminal Justice Information System, or EDO CJIS, website. Displayed on the screen is what the EDO CJIS homepage looks like, which I'm going to walk you through and explain how to place an order. First thing is that the FBI has 7 steps listed on the left-hand side of their homepage. However, the first true step is not under step 1, but rather it's on the right-hand side where it says enter your email address. After entering your email address, go into your email account and look for an email from CJIS entitled Identity History Summary Request. It's also worth highlighting here that under the FBI Step 3, that the FBI only accepts FD 258 cards, which Colorado Springs Fingerprinting always has in stock. They also highlight that you need current or new fingerprinting cards that haven't been used already for another background check. The FBI really recommends having your prints taken by a fingerprint technician, so it's not advisable to crack open a Bic pen and play around in the pen ink. The name you put on the EDO CJIS appointment order and the FD 258 card will be the name returned on your background check results, which will arrive to you via email on your response letter. This should be your current legal name. Lastly, the last 4 digits of your social security number, although not technically needed, will be included on your response letter if you include it here when you sign up for an FD 258 fingerprint-based background check with the FBI. Although it's not technically needed, I'll explain why you still should include it later on in this presentation. Next, you'll go into your email account, and inside the email will be a code to copy and a link that will bring you back to the EDO CJIS website. In the pop-up frame, enter that code to log in. You'll have to do this every time. You don't get a username and password on the EdoCGIS website. Instead, you just always enter in your email address, you get a code, and you log back in. After logging in, you'll see a Privacy Act statement, and inside this statement, highlighted by the guide for fingerprinting, this fingerprinting hack in Step 3 is the answer to one of the most commonly asked questions we have on all FBI background check services, not just those for a legal name change. Is a social security number truly necessary? Do I have to enter it for an FBI background check? Well, unlike your CBI background check, technically you do not. However, without your social security number, or at least your last four, the FBI is relying on the only other information that you're providing, which is your full name and date of birth and your demographic information, used in order to confirm your identity. So if you feel that out of the 330 million people in the US, the recently deceased, and the international records that the FBI will check, that someone could possibly have the same birthday and a same or similar name or alias, then it's a good chance that the FBI won't be able to verify your results, and it's going to delay this whole process. So I strongly recommend including at least your last four. So you'll next fill out the personal information as it shows in Step 4, and then the mailing information in Step 5. And it's super important that you enter your mailing address information if you want a physical copy of your background check. But again, the return letter and the results will also be emailed to you, which you may print out and include that emailed copy as attached exhibits to your petition for legal name change in order to meet the requirements when you submit your petition for legal name change. Step 6 then outlines the information you want on your return letter, and have it mailed back to you is no additional cost. Item 4 on the EdoCGIS website, Step 7 on our overall fingerprinting checklist, you're going to select how you're going to send the FBI your fingerprints once you order your background check online. For the cheaper physical ink fingerprinting process that we're utilizing for this fingerprinting hack, you're going to select by mail, as the other options are through a third-party channeler such as Colorado Fingerprinting, which in your case would be unnecessary, because if you don't mind paying the $55 fee to Colorado Fingerprinting for a faster service, then you don't have to do any of this, since you've decided to go the Route 1 option of having Colorado Fingerprinting handle both the state CBI and FBI background checks. So if you're here, you're choosing the Route 2 option to save money, and you're going to select the option of by mail here in our Step 7. Now, since this is the most comprehensive review of how to get a Colorado state name change, it's worth mentioning that there is a third option regarding how to send the FBI your fingerprints. This third way is to go to a participating USPS post office to get your fingerprints electronically taken and sent to the FBI. But the kicker is that nationwide there are only 180 USPS post offices participating in this program. I looked into it for you, and for Colorado, there are a few post offices in and around Denver, and then another post office that's doing this service in Pueblo. And even if my Colorado Springs community wanted to take the drive north or south to go to one of these post office locations, which require appointments with very limited availability, the cost is $50 on top of the $18 that you'll pay the FBI directly. The FBI is fairly coy about this cost and only state that there will be a, quote, additional fee you must pay to the post office. So because this option is the same speed, if not slower, than the third-party channeling through Colorado Fingerprinting, plus there are fewer participating USPS locations to get fingerprinted, and it's more expensive, I'm not going to waste your time walking you through that process. The rest of the verbiage on the right-hand side within Step 7 just reiterates the information previously highlighted on the internal checklist for fingerprinting Step 3. They are that you want to use the FD258 fingerprinting card. Your fingerprint card has to be new. You should get your fingerprints taken by a technician to record your prints. And whatever you put on the FD258 will or will not be reflected on your return letter, and that although your social security number is not mandatory, it can greatly speed up the process and reduce your chance for rejection. So if you're on this step, it's because you can bear to wait about a week and a half longer for the results, and you're looking to save money. And so in Step 8, it's reminding you that if you're selecting to submit your fingerprint cards to the FBI via the mail, don't forget to mail your fingerprint cards. Now, on to payment. Next, the EDO website, step 5, our checklist, step 9 is payment. When you proceed to the payment step, you'll be taken to pay.gov, and you can render payment via credit card or debit card, via PayPal, or even an Amazon account. It's nice to see that at least one government agency is hip to online payment methods. Now, of those options, they don't have any processing or convenience fees. You'll be paying an $18 flat fee regardless of which option you choose. Lastly, it's not shown but very important. You will get an order receipt that will contain your order number emailed to you from the EDO CGIS website. You will need to include this order form along with your FD-258 card so that the FBI can find your request and match up the FD-58 card that you mailed in by using your order receipt number. So, we already discussed price. The trade-off between these two routes is time. CBI advises that their process is less than 2 weeks, and anecdotally, through our digital fingerprinting partner, Colorado Fingerprinting, we've had customers report that they've gotten their results within 72 hours of their prints being accepted by the CBI. The FBI processing time varies, depending on whether you mail in your cards or use a digital live scan channeler. Mailed-in fingerprint cards, which accompany an online order, can take 2 to 4 weeks, and that's after the FBI actually receives your fingerprinting cards. And a live scan digitally channeled set of fingerprints sent along with the application itself through this live scan channeler Colorado Fingerprinting takes only 3 to 5 days. So for online orders with mail-in cards, you'll be able to log back into the FBI edocgis.gov website to check the status of your order and confirm whether they've received the prints, the time it takes for processing, and whether they've emailed you and or mailed you the results and return letter. For live scan channeling of your FBI prints, you'll be able to check the status on Colorado Fingerprinting Complio account that you've set up. So the big highlight over here is that if you've gone Route 1 and you've decided that Colorado Fingerprinting is going to take care of both your CBI background check and then use those same digitally scanned fingerprints and the demographic information you already provided for your sign-up process, it's going to cost $86.50. And doing that process, you'll go to coloradofingerprinting.com, pay for a CBI background check for $31.50. You'll select Colorado Springs Fingerprinting at North Academy Boulevard, and you'll schedule an appointment next day. Then, after you go to Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, you'll get notification that the CBI has accepted your prints, and then you'll see that the CBI confirmed that they've accepted it, and that you can then order a follow-on FBI background check using those same prints through Colorado Fingerprinting, and that's where the extra $55 comes in. And then for this period, you're just waiting on the FBI results and you're waiting on the advertised CBI results. So these are both shown as worst case scenarios, and the space between the two fingerprints is quite small. So the 90-day background check expiration period, which is the max amount of time before the Colorado court system considers your fingerprints no longer valid and the background check you got from them, there's not much of a separation there. But if you're going Route 2 using our fingerprinting hack in order to save some money by using the Colorado Fingerprinting for the CBI background check, but Colorado Springs Fingerprinting Service of Ink Fingerprinting cards for your FBI background check, then it's only $66.50 all in. So for that process, you go to the FBI electronic request website at the edocgis.gov website, request a background check, and you pay $18. Then you physically go to Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, from which you can mail in the fingerprints with our other services in-house to the FBI with a receipt printed out from the EDO CGIS website for $15 a card and $2 for the mailing. Then wait a little bit so that you don't create too much of a disparity between the two background checks, and then you'll go to coloradofingerprinting.com and pay for that CBI background check. You'll select Colorado Springs Fingerprinting at 6545 North Academy Boulevard, and you'll come into your appointment, and then you'll get your fingerprints scanned and sent to the CBI. So then you're waiting on the CBI to confirm they accepted it. You'll still get that email saying like, hey, do you want us to handle the FBI background check as well for $55? but you don't have to worry about that since you've already initiated the process up here. So then you're waiting on your CBI results, you're waiting on the FBI results, and you have aligned your two results kind of quite nicely for this 90-day expiration period. And then as soon as you get both those, make sure that you're submitting both those fingerprint-based background checks as Exhibits A and B in your Colorado State legal name change petition. Now, there's a decision time on Route 2. You can do the process that I outlined, which requires you to go to Colorado Springs Fingerprinting 2 times. It's the same price, and it better aligns your 90-day expiration window for each background check. Or you can assume a little bit of risk, not a terrible amount, but it is also still the same price, but the chance for having a larger disparity increases, but you only have to go one time. And so we'll look at that other option on Route 2 of our fingerprinting hack here. So what I want to highlight is this 1 to 2 week disparity between two different background checks with the one visit option. So with Route 2 fingerprinting hack one visit, you go to the FBI electronic request website, you order your edocgis.gov background check. You go to coloradofingerprinting.com and order your background check. Then you select Colorado Springs Fingerprinting at North Academy Boulevard for your CBI appointment. And so since you got the ball rolling on your CBI background check, and then you've gone to the Colorado Springs Fingerprinting website and order your Ink Fingerprinting card, you go there in the same day, you are able to take care of both your FD258 Ink Fingerprinting card to mail to the FBI with receipt from the EdoCGIS website, and you already have your Colorado Fingerprinting CBI background check done. So it's just one and done. Then you're waiting on the FBI to confirm they received it, you're waiting on the CBI to accept it, and then you're waiting on the results for both. And this creates a bit of a disparity because we can almost count on the FBI taking a long time to return those fingerprint-based background results because you've done a mail-in order. And we know that the CBI is pretty darn fast at turning those around as well. Now, the other option with our fingerprinting hack in Route 2 is to come to Colorado Springs Fingerprinting 2 times. You still start off by going to the FBI electronic request at the EdoCGIS website and request your background check, and you still go to coloradospringsfingerprinting.com to order a Ink Fingerprinting card or just walk in. And then you take your EdoCGIS receipt from your order and your Ink Fingerprinting card from Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, and you mail it in. So you're waiting for the FBI to receive it, and you're waiting for the FBI results. Then intentionally give yourself about a week and a half before you go to coloradofingerprinting.com to order your CBI background check. You select Colorado Springs Fingerprinting at 645 North Academy Boulevard, and you come into your appointment. You get the ball rolling on your CBI acceptance, you're waiting on the CBI results, and you have a much less disparity between the two fingerprint background checks. Yeah. Now, since we've almost beaten a dead horse here by going over the two different fingerprinting routes you can take, Route 1 by letting Colorado Fingerprinting handle both the CBI fingerprint background check and the FBI background check, and told you a fingerprinting hack in Route 2, and then highlighted the different Route 2 techniques you could use to better align your fingerprinting results, or if you value your time by only having to make one trip, assume a little risk on the time that the results are going to come back from both fingerprinting background checks. We're going to go over how to actually order an Ink Fingerprinting card service directly through coloradospringsfingerprinting.com. First step, simple enough, go to coloradospringsfingerprinting.com and book online, or from our homepage, click the big beautiful Book Now button. From that button, you'll be brought to our services, and right underneath Printy, the fingerprint fanatic that you've seen throughout this presentation, you'll see that you can order an Ink Fingerprinting with FD258 card. You'll click Book Now, select a date and time, click Next, and then on the final booking form, before making payment, we've got a promo code for folks using Colorado Springs Ink Fingerprinting cards for a Colorado State legal name change. On the right-hand side, enter a promo code to receive $5 off over here. The promo code is your OCA number that you used for your CBI Unique number on the Colorado Fingerprinting appointment. plus the numbers 2022. Again, the OCA number is what you used when you signed up for a CBI fingerprinting service through the Colorado State CBI live scan vendor, Colorado Fingerprinting. But if you don't have it memorized by now, or if you still haven't written it down, I'll remind you that it's 3975 LNCA 2022. Enter that code and you'll be rewarded with $5 off for sitting through this informational video that you can check the video description to see if there's been any update to the promo code after this video has been posted. This section will go over the forms you need to fill out for your Colorado State legal name change for an adult non-felon. Again, these instructions are for informational purposes only and do not constitute legal advice about your case. The first form we're going to look at is the Judicial Department Form 432. It is the instructional form found on the Colorado Courts website I showed you in the agency section of this instructional video earlier. On the Colorado Courts website, it's found under the Legal Name Change section for an adult non-felon. It provides some instructions for the entire process, but if it was in fact all-encompassing, I wouldn't be making this video. In my opinion, the best thing about this form is that it provides a basic checklist, which is continued on its third page, not shown on this slide, and the checklist at least ensures that you've included everything you need to include with your petition when you're ready to file it. Step 3 points out that if you do have a felony as an adult or juvenile, there is another procedure to see if you're eligible to legally change your name. Reason being that there are some felonies of which, if you're convicted, that the state and federal governments don't want you to be able to change your name or acquire an alias so easily. Some of these felonies you can work through, some you have to wait a certain amount of time after your conviction, and some that you'll never be able to change your name by having it on your record at all. This isn't legal advice, so if you're concerned about a felony, I'd recommend talking with legal counsel regarding your ability to get a legal name change. So, number 4 reiterates the fact that you must have the results of your fingerprint-based background check from the state, Colorado, and the FBI completed within 90 days before filing the petition. So that's why you do your fingerprinting first. And after you get the results, don't delay in initiating your legal name change petition, because you only have a 90-day window to file your petition. Otherwise, you'll have to go get a new set of fingerprints taken in order to order and receive new return letters, aka criminal history reports. The idea being is that the state doesn't want to wait too long after your results are returned to you and then submitted with your petition, where, in the interim, you could theoretically go out and commit a heinous act that would disqualify you from getting a legal name change while they're still processing your petition. Step 5 alludes to the fact that, based on how many of these requests the court processes and all the biometric identification validation that a fingerprint-based criminal background check provides, you're very likely to never need to actually appear in court to get your name changed, but still, you might. Number 6, if you're changing your name because of getting married, this is considered a simple change that can be made at lower level agencies such as the DMV, Social Security Administration, State Department in the case of your passport for changing your name. These agencies, along with your most financial institutions such as your bank account, don't need a JDF 448 final decree for name change, for a marriage-based name change, which is the whole purpose of this procedure. In order to change your name in their records and issue new identification, they usually just need a valid marriage certificate. And speaking of passports earlier, Colorado Springs Fingerprinting also does passport photos and has a passport application forms printed out with instructions in-house, along with their in-house shipping, mailing, and notary services. And we're working on some more instructional videos, such as this one on the passport application and renewal process, along with new passport expediting services. So stay tuned, like and subscribe to this video and channel so that once you get your JDF 448 final decree for change of name, you can find more resources on how to use that JDF 448 final decree in order to change your name on your driver's license and passport. Number 7 discusses the fees you need to pay to the court and how to pay them as well. It also goes through the exceptions to those who don't have to pay them due to disability or financial hardship. If you want to fill out another 3-page document, provide some pay stubs, bank statements, make an asset and liability table, then you may be able to provide or prove the fact that you are without adequate funds, or that you have a meritorious claim to have these fees to the court waived. That 3-page form to look up is the JDF 205 and 206. So if you want to try and get your name change fees waived to the court, then you have to submit your JDF 205 and a blank order JDF 206, and then wait for the court's decision and for the court to issue you the approved JDF 206 before you submit this application. Number 8 discusses the forms you'll need to fill out, which I'm going to walk you through in this comprehensive Colorado State legal name change informational video. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to start with the JDF 433, which is the petition for change of name. Then the JDF 426, order for publication of the name change, which, if needed, is a document you'll get back and represents the judge or magistrate telling you that your name change is tentatively approved and that you must publish your intended change of name in a local newspaper. The JDF 427, public notice form, which you'll partially fill out and then get back as well, it's a document that, if needed, you will submit to your local newspaper. And that tells the newspaper what the name change you are requesting is, and that you're allowed to request that they publish it. So 426 and 427, those are documents you'll pre-fill out, and they will be returned and thus order you and enable you to publish your name change in a local newspaper. And then finally, after having returned proof of publication from the newspaper to the court will issue you a JDF 448, which is the official and final decree for change of name. You'll get 2 copies of your 448, which you'll use at your DMV, Social Security Administration, your bank, etc., to change your name and their data points and get issued new identification that you're seeking. In step 9, starts getting into the specific instructions, and in this portion and continued on the next page is where there's a decent checklist that I mentioned earlier, where it begins, and it tries to ensure that you've done everything needed in order to submit your Colorado State petition for legal name change for an adult non-felon. The first underlined point stresses that you can no longer go to your local police station or law enforcement agency in order to get your fingerprints taken. Why? Well, this biometric identification procedure has become so popular and common nowadays that local police departments in Colorado are inundated with requests, and as a result, the state of Colorado decided that their police departments can no longer support civil case fingerprinting, which is exactly what a fingerprint-based background check in support of a petition for legal name change qualifies as. Additionally, the entire state of Colorado is a closed fingerprinting state, which lots of states are moving to, and being a closed state means that in an effort to increase efficiency, all fingerprints for background checks must be submitted or channeled to them in secure electronic mediums, but by state contracted providers, and the state has vetted and selected only a few vendors to perform this action. One such vendor that Colorado Springs Fingerprinting uses for CBI-based background checks is Colorado Fingerprinting, in which we've discussed at length for getting your CBI state fingerprint-based background check. So for my Colorado Springs folks watching this, if you go down to the Colorado Springs Police Department on Nevada Avenue, they're going to send you away and tell you to sign up with an approved vendor, one with a local presence such as Colorado Springs Fingerprinting, and use the state-approved vendor, Colorado Fingerprinting, to sign up. So no need to waste your time trying to get fingerprinted at CSPD or your local law enforcement agency in the area. And then in number 15, the next underlined section, you're then reminded again about the 90-day expiration on your background check results. Step 10, complete the forms. The remainder of these instructions sort of help you fill out the next 4 forms previously listed above. When you file your forms, you will attach your fingerprint FBI background checks and your CBI background checks as Exhibits A and B. And this is in order to get a legal name change through the state of Colorado, which they require 2 background checks. The first being from the FBI, Exhibit A, which is going to check all the U.S. states, territories, and internationally reported criminal activity. And the second being Exhibit B, the CBI background check for the state and juvenile state felonies that aren't reported to the FBI. Or the next form that we're actually going to fill out is JDF 433, which is the official petition for change of name adult. And step 11 here, you're going to fill it out as described in the instructional form on JDF 433. Do not write in the court use only section. If you're getting it notarized not by a Colorado Springs fingerprinting notary, then make sure they don't put their seal up here. It's a real bonehead move that some amateur notaries might do. And then between 11 and 12, there's some verbiage again, reminding you that you need to wait to receive the results from your CBI and FBI fingerprint-based background criminal history checks prior to submitting this petition, and for you to include them as exhibits, which is simply done by writing Exhibit A and Exhibit B in the top right margins of those return letters. Step 12, you're going to write out why you're requesting your name change. Is it a divorce? Is it for your gender identity? Are you seeking protection from a crime committed against you? Or let's say your name was Josie, and you have that, and having that name still brings up your traumatic childhood memories of being called Josie Grossi, and you want to change your name legally to Jocelyn. So for the non-binary transgender community out there, there is an organization called the Colorado Name Change Project, which assists trans folk through this process, and they're worth a Google or two. Step 13 highlights the reason for Forms JDF 426 and 427 regarding the publication of your legal name change, which is in accordance with the Colorado Revised Statute CRS 13-15103 that we've mentioned earlier. There are several reasons in this Colorado Revised Statute that would exempt you from the requirement of publication, such as being the victim of a crime or domestic violence, or if you're petitioning for a name change so as to align your name with your gender identity. Check the box that applies to you and write out the reason for exemption if needed. I'll leave a link to the CRS 13-15-103, which is current as of July 2022. And if the CRS updates, I'll update a link that specifically outlines the reasons which exempt someone from the need to publish their request for legal name change in a local newspaper, which is under very specific circumstances. So, sorry, Josie Grossi out there, but the traumatic childhood nickname does not exempt one from the requirement to publish your requested name change, and you'll have to fill out and then execute JDF Forms 426 and 427 appropriately. Step 14, don't forget to check these boxes down here saying that you haven't changed the form, which you shouldn't expect to change the form under some very specific circumstances. Page 2, Step 15 of JDF 433, your official petition, must stop and wait to fill out this form physically in front of a notary public, which we have plenty of on an appointment and walk-in basis at Colorado Springs Fingerprinting. Don't fill out any portion of it before actually standing before a notary public. And point 16 is where the notary public will sign, date, and add their notary public seal affirming that you in fact filled it out and signed this section of the JDF 432 in front of a notary as the court requires. The next form, JDF 426, Order for Publication for Change of Name, point 18 or 17 is the same form section where you fill out the header as described in JDF 433. Again, don't write in any of the court use sections. The next point, everything here should be left blank as it will be filled out by the court, so don't touch it. The next point, fill out 1 through 3 with your current name and then fill it out what you want your legal name change to be. It's got to match everything on your petition form and double check the spelling of your new name. Do not date or sign the document, as these sections are where the judge or magistrate will sign and date when they decide if you need to make a publication for a legal change of name. And they're going to make this determination based on what you have written on the previous form, JDF 433. There's no public notary needed on this form, and you don't even have to sign it, but you must include it, this JDF 426, with your petition packet. This document will instruct the judge to instruct you to publish your change of name in your county's local newspaper. JDF 427, Public Notice for Petition of Change of Name. This is the document that you will use with your local newspaper to publish your legal change of name and satisfy the court requirement for the legal name change process. The next point in this form section of this instructional video highlights that you are to fill out this section as described again on the JDF 433. Don't write in the court use only section. The next point in 21, everything here should be left blank as it'll be filled out by the court telling you or telling the newspaper that you are to publish your tentative change of name intentions. The next point, 22 here, fill out this section with your current name and again what you want your legal name change to be. It's got to match everything on your petition and double check the spelling. Do not sign the document, as this is where the clerk will sign if they decide if you need to make a publication of your legal name change request, again based on what you write on JDF Form 433. And again, there's no public notary needed on this form. You yourself are not even signing it, but you're including JDF 427 with your petition packet to see if you're going to get it back along with 426 in order to order you to publish your intended change of name and to tell the newspaper it's okay to do so. Final form, JDF 448, final decree for change of name. The next point, again, you fill out this header section and don't write in any of the sections that say court use only. And then for point 24, leave all that stuff blank. Everything here should be left blank as it will be filled in by the court. They will fill out their determination as to whether or not you need to make notice of your legal name change and fill out what your name used to be and what your new name is changed to be. You do not fill out this section. The court will fill it out for you based on what you wrote on your petition and will check the alias section of your fingerprint-based background checks to make sure that the aliases you've written in there match up. There's no public notary needed on this form. You're not even signing it yourself, but you're also still including this form with your petition packet. And now, having gone over how to fill out all the forms, we are up to the last part of our agenda, which is submission. We've gone through the JDF 432 instructions, and we filled out the 433, 426, and 427, and also the 448 final decree. And we've collected all those documents, and we've gotten our FBI return letters and our CBI return letters and marked them as Exhibit A and Exhibit B. And we also have a cashier's check for $88 because we're smart enough to know that we want to submit this petition for legal change of name to a county court as opposed to a district court, saving us money. And we're ready to submit. So head on down to the El Paso County Judicial Branch, those of you in Colorado Springs, on 270 South Tejon Street. After you've submitted it, you'll wait a couple days until the court has reissued you or determined that they don't need to reissue you your 426 and 427, which, if you needed to use them, would be the documents that you take to the newspaper and publish your change of name. So after you've awaited and to see the court's determination with your 426 and 427, you'll take your 427 to the local newspaper, probably the Gazette, and pay for them to publish your name change 3 times within a 21-day period. Then you'll take the receipt from the newspaper and your JDF 427 signed by the newspaper and then submit it back to the court. Now, you don't have to wait for this 21-day period to elapse. You can decide to do it weekly, every other day, every day, or just 3 days in a row. But basically, once you have paid and gotten the receipt, the newspaper is going to publish your change of name. And then the court knows that, and so they just need the receipt and the signed JDF 427 in order to execute the 448 final decree for name change. And having returned to the court your JDF 427, proving you paid a local newspaper to publish your intended change of name, I'd like to say, congratulations. You now have your JDF 448 final decree for change of name. And with it, you can get new identification and update all the name data points in your life. The court will give you 2 copies of your JDF 448, with which you can update all your desired name data points, such as with the DMV, which will require an original, but any agency that asks for an original should have a mechanism for returning this hard-earned document back to you. Some agencies will ask for only a certified copy, and Colorado Springs Fingerprinting can make those certified copies through a notarial act for you with our in-house notaries. And when it's time to get a new passport, you'll need to provide a current passport photo, which we support in-house as well. So there's no reason why you wouldn't want to come back to Colorado Springs Fingerprinting to get and mail out all those change names, application, and supporting documents using your new JDF 448 final decree that this informational video has helped you to attain. Again, congratulations for finding the most comprehensive presentation on the Colorado State legal name change petition process. And when I started making this explainer video, I thought it was going to be a quick 2-minute explanation of the name change process to help all Coloradans and serve as a resource to my Colorado Springs Fingerprinting customers who are seeking a legal change of name. But For those of you who have watched this omnibus of an informational video, and those who have probably returned to pertinent sections for advice when you've gotten stuck along the way, you now know, just like I have learned, that there's a lot more to changing your name in Colorado than you'd expect. Well, bye for now. This is Ryan Martin from Colorado Springs Fingerprinting. Have a good day and good luck.